If you're like me and you've seen, a lot of wrestling over the years, you've probably seen an appearance or a comeback from a wrestler that had you going, I could have lived without this. Personally, Ric Flair never wrestled after the match against Shawn Michaels for me. I've never seen anything after that. I don't want to see anything after that. But here we've got 10 wrestling comebacks that should have never happened. If you guys would like to check out the original upload of the content, please be top link in the description. Or if you'd like to react content with us live on Twitch, you know where to find that link. I ain't gonna tell you. Young ones, get out of here. I don't make content for little ones. I react using very strong language, and I don't want you hearing and saying you have no business here. If the algorithm has brought you to me, or if I'm in your sub box because, you're goated like that, let's hang out for at least, 10, 15 minutes. Can we do that? Can you do that for me? Does that sound reasonable? If so, let's do it. I'll keep you company on your lunch break or whatever. Let's do this. Let's do this thing.
Believe wrestlers when they say they're either never stepping in the ring again or that they'll never work for so-and-so for as long as they live. With very, very few exceptions, almost everyone comes back after making such declarations, rendering the wrestling retirement a laughable term. It matters not whether you were screwed in Montreal or took your ball and went home because you didn't want to do the job, in time you will be back whether it's for the money or because you just love professional wrestling too damn much. Let's be honest though, it's usually about the money. Comebacks can be a great thing, both for the comebackee and the fans, and are one of the things that keep us watching. How great was it seeing Edge almost 10 years after being forced to retire due to injuries, coming back at the 2020 Royal Rumble? How much emptier would our lives have been if The Rock hadn't taken a break from Hollywood to remind us just how great he is in his feud with John Cena? These comebacks will be talked about for years to come, as will some other comebacks, although not for good reasons. Because as great as comebacks can be, they can also fall flat or end in outright catastrophe. Any star wrestler that's making a comeback will hope that the reactions are the same as they were, the matches are acceptable if not good, and that a new audience will see them and realize what all the fuss was actually about. But as this list demonstrates, that's not always the case. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and these are 10 wrestling comebacks that should have never happened.
Let's get it.
Join us. Number 10, Tatanka. Some returns by older stars make sense because there's a storyline that they could help or a specific angle that only they could be used for. Think about Sherry Martel coming back for one night to help Kurt Angle sing I'm Just a Sexy Kurt, or the Parade of Legends that returned one by one to wrestle Heath Slater in order to promote Raw 1000. Other times, stars from the past come back out of nowhere and seemingly for no real reason, which is what happened when Tatanka, a star of WWE's new generation of the mid-90s, came out of the mothballs for the first time in a decade for a full-time run in the mid-2000s. Tatanka was a popular performer in his day and famously enjoyed a long winning streak that made him a fixture on television. But by the time he made it back to the company, his gimmick seemed anachronistic, and fans didn't really care much for a man whose most famous matches were with the Lex Lugers and Ludwig Borgers of this world. In 2006, Tatanka's entrance could still provoke a reaction, and he wasn't half bad in the ring, but the tomahawk chop and rain dances felt out of place. This was the time of ruthless aggression and supposedly creating new stars of the future, not reaching back into novelties from the past. Tatanka mostly meandered in lower card matches with the likes of Simon Dean, Vito, and Sylvain Grenier, and had a brief feud with Matt Hardy before requesting his release in early 2007.
The post said, let me go. Honestly, that's a weird one to bring back, I feel like. Like, not even like some cultural shit. Like, it's just like, he does, I don't know about him fitting in with like the wrestlers around the time. Like, at all. Like, that's weird. That's really weird. How do we take this seriously and not feel like it's like, you playing a character, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't remember this guy at fucking all, which is crazy. I was definitely like really only into SmackDown because I didn't have cable, so it was like, I'm going to watch wrestling when it comes on, but I have zero memory of this.
While it's always nice to see WWE giving work to veterans who have sacrificed so much for the company in years gone by, their decision to hire Tatanka and feature him on weekly television and on pay-per-views at a time where so many young and hungry talents were waiting to break through is a puzzling one. Number 9, Road Warrior Animal. Ooh, what a crushing disappointment it was to see Road Warrior Animal without fellow Legion of Doom member the late Hawk reforming the LOD with Heidenreich in 2005. Did his return have something to do with a new Life and Times of the Road Warriors DVD that was coming out and needed promotion? Or that Animal's brother, John Laurinaitis, was then the head of talent relations? Who's to say? Okay, I'll say. Those are the reasons he came back to the company some 15 years after the peak of his popularity. Fully demonstrating the shallowness of the tag team division back then, anyone up for coming round mine for a marathon of matches featuring Gemini, the Basham Brothers, or the Ticks? LOD 2005 captured the tag team titles from M&M at the Great American Bash. The two teams would feud over the course of the never-ending next few months before Heidenreich left the company in early 2006. That wouldn't cost Animal his spot though, as the Chicago native simply moved on to team with Matt Hardy.
He definitely did pin Cole against the wall and get to do it the visceras. He definitely did pin bro against the wall. I remember that. Hey, yo.
Before turning on him and engaging in perhaps the least memorable feud in the Broken One's career. After Tatanka, that is, what a year 2006 was for Matt. A quick run as a mid-card heel promptly petered out, and Animal was let go from the company a year after winning the tag straps. Not even his baby bro could save him from that round of cuts. I appreciate that the Road Warriors are or were an immensely overact in their day, and that Animal, as an experienced veteran, could have provided value as a teacher to some of the younger talent. So why not make him a trainer or backstage producer then? The in-ring comeback was poor and proved that once you took Hawk out of the equation, a lot of the magic was gone. Number 8, Scott Steiner. When WCW went out of business in 2001 and WWE began preparing for the invasion, fans were desperate to see the top stars from the rival organizations square off with one another. As we know, most of the top stars on the WCW side had huge guaranteed contracts with AOL Time Warner, meaning that if they were to join for the angle, that they would most certainly be required to take a pay cut to do so. One wrestler who had such a contract was Scott Steiner, a man who had reinvented himself in the late 90s, changing his look, character, and wrestling style to become one of the top stars in the business. The big bad booty daddy was a hot commodity, and when his contract eventually expired and his injuries had healed up, WWE came a-calling. On television, anticipation was so high for Steiner's return that Raw and SmackDown engaged in a bidding war for his services. Blue Brand general manager Stephanie McMahon, shrewd businesswoman that she is, offered her own services in offer to secure Big Papa Pump's signature. In the end, Scotty opted for Raw and began a feud with World Heavyweight Champion Triple H. That feud gave us some classic segments like the arm wrestling match they had, the pose down, and the push-up contest, all of which led to their match at the 2003 Royal Rumble. And that's where the comeback fell apart. Without the required smoke and mirrors to mask his shortcomings, Steiner was completely exposed in a long match where he blew several spots and looked absolutely knackered just minutes in. Their rematch at No Way Out the following month wasn't much better, and the genetic freak stock had dropped so much that he wasn't even used at WrestleMania. For the rest of his WWE run, he would team and feud with Test before WWE decided that they had absolutely nothing for him and that he could sit out the remainder of his contract at home. One of the most disappointing wrestling comebacks ever. Holler if you hear me. P.S. If Scott Steiner is watching this video, please know that I love you and none of what happened during your WWE comeback was your fault, and that I'd really like to keep all of my teeth. Cheers. Number 7, the British Bulldog. The British Bulldog is going into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2020, and rightfully so. A top performer in his day, he meant a lot to fans not just in the UK but around the world, and forged a legacy that saw him capture multiple titles, most famously in the main event of SummerSlam 92, defeating Bret Hart in a classic in front of 80,000 of his countrymen. Those halcyon days seemed much further than a mere 7 years ago when Bulldog returned to WWE in late 1999, the first time he'd worked for them since the Montreal Screwjob. Smith, who had bounced between WCW and WWE during the 90s and was always a featured player, was coming back into Titan Sports while nursing a debilitating back injury that should have retired him. Davey Boy picked up the injury after taking a bump on a hidden trap door that WCW had put in the ring as a way for the Ultimate Warrior to make his surprise entrance, but more on him later. Coming back at far less than 100%, Bulldog still had name value, but gone was the dynamic performer of years past. He didn't even look like the same man, having replaced his braids and red, white and blue tights with a buzz cut and a pair of jeans. After initially mixing it up with power players like The Rock and Triple H, Bulldog found himself sliding down the card, going from pay-per-view main events to European champion to teaming up with the Mean Street Posse. By the end of his run, he was slumming it on Heat and Jacked and would eventually be sent to rehab at the behest of Vince McMahon and co. before leaving the company completely in May of 2000. Tragically, he died 2 years later at the age of 39. Number 6, Roddy Piper. 18 years after main eventing the first WrestleMania, Roddy Piper returned at Mania 19, attacking Hulk Hogan in his match with Mr. McMahon. A genuine surprise, the Rowdy One hadn't been seen on WWE television in about 7 years, and his appearance provoked a hearty reaction from those in attendance. The company then paired Piper, one of the best promos ever, with Sean O'Haire, a wrestler with a lot of potential but not quite the personality or verbal skills to match his athletic ability. It was a pairing that made sense on paper but didn't quite work out as well as hoped. A feud with Rikishi didn't exactly light the world on fire, and Piper's reluctance to go along with the program, he rejected taking the stink face or joining the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club, probably concerned with the fact that everything the creative team had planned for him revolved around him.
Yeah, he was real like, yo, keep them asses away from my face, man. No wagging shit. Stop it. No wagging, Smith. I'm not doing it. What is the man ass doing in my face, man? Come on now.
Being close to another man's backside made for a fractious working relationship. After some naff matches with Mr. America, Piper was let go from the company. The reason for his dismissal was a controversial interview Piper had given to HBO's Real Sports program, where he discussed wrestling deaths, drug use within the industry, and criticized promoters including McMahon. Once the bad blood had subsided, Piper was invited back so that he could be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005 and would make sporadic appearances over the next decade, usually as host of Piper's Pit. Regrettably, WWE convinced Roddy to come back for a run as World Tag Team Champion with Ric Flair in late 2006. Though a fun bit of nostalgia for longtime fans, it was nonetheless a bit sad to see Piper, and Flair for that matter, wrestling at half speed, their aging bodies beaten up from decades of in-ring competition. The run would be a short-lived one, as it was discovered that Piper was suffering from cancer and needed treatment. Once his treatment was successfully completed, he'd make further sporadic appearances, each one a diminishing return. I should point out, this does nothing to truly damage Piper's legacy. He passed away in 2015, and fans mainly remember the dynamic and fearless performer who, for a time, was the most hated character in wrestling. Number 5, Randy Savage. Randy Savage was a busy boy after leaving WCW in 2000, booking a famous cameo in the Spider-Man film, releasing an absolutely brilliant rap album, and challenging Hulk Hogan to a fight for charity. There were intermittent rumors that Savage was on his way back to WWE, the company he left in 1994, but those were unfounded. Macho Man wouldn't return to WWE in any capacity, save for a video game ad, if that counts, before his passing in 2011. He did, however, find his way to the wasteland of ex-WWE stars that was TNA in 2004. Savage's comeback to the ring would be brief but memorable, not because of his in-ring contribution, but thanks to his bizarre backstage behavior. Randy Savage was well known for being a, how shall we say, peculiar performer, noted for his unbelievable intensity, paranoia, and perfectionism during his time as a headliner. It should have come as no surprise then that when Randy almost got into a backstage fight with visiting longtime rival Hulk Hogan, quit the promotion, returned to work a pay-per-view match, and then only agreed to come to the ring for the finish, winning the match with a punch to the face. Rumor has it that Savage was a bit of a handful to deal with backstage, go figure, and told the Jarretts that he would only stick around if he was given the TNA World title. TNA, then a growing company with a bit of buzz behind them, weren't about to do that, and so Randy took off, never to be seen in wrestling again. While you can see the logic in bringing in Savage based on his name value, it should have been clear to everyone that there was nothing left in the tank, and that featuring him at the expense of other up-and-coming stars was a big mistake. With thinning hair and wearing black trousers and a black long-sleeve t-shirt, he looked nothing like the flamboyant character that fans remembered from his glory days. Given his age and physical deterioration, he was also unable to do much in the ring at all. A sad final chapter in Macho Man's wrestling journey, but
yeah, the sheep looks like Keemstar is insane. Oh no, Nikki, no. I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about that little nugget right there. No one knows. My man was definitely dressed like a black Power Ranger with the rest of his gear in the wash. Like he just got the skin tight on. He gonna put you on a sleeper hold or punch you. That's the finish of the match. A regular basic punch. Do not get back up, please. 3 count. He wasn't doing that elbow? When he came back, did he do at least 1 elbow? Please.
Short enough that most people simply don't even remember it. Number 4, Goldberg. It's no secret that Goldberg didn't enjoy his first run in WWE. Not the biggest fan of the business in the first place, he wasn't happy with his new environment or schedule and butted heads with key players like Triple H and Chris Jericho. On his way out of the door, presumably before headbutting it, he had that disastrous WrestleMania 20 match with Brock Lesnar, where fans knew that both guys were leaving the company and proceeded to turn on the match, booing them out of the building while amusing themselves with derogatory chants. It was a bitter end to a disappointing run, the memory of which prevented Big Bill from coming back until late 2016. Initially supposed to be a one-off to promote the latest WWE video game, his emphatic squash match victory over Brock was so well received, what a difference 12 years makes, that he kept on in order to draw the feud out to a monumental showdown at WrestleMania. This time things went far, far better, and the two had a really decent match that would have been the perfect end.
Nah. Better. Nah, there was like a camera guy or something, or like a stagehand. I don't know how they caught this amazing expression from bro. But his expression was godlike. This right here. if I ever had to put to a face, this shit right here is the He said, "Oh, where it came from? That fear must have scared him or something, bro." The evil way they just ruined his fucking day. Like, the fuck is that smell? What's that smell, man?
And the two had a really decent match that would have been the perfect end to Goldberg's career. Would have been, had he chosen not to step back into the squared circle in 2019. His clash with The Undertaker at Super Showdown, which would have been a dream match, I don't know, at least 15 years earlier, was a complete and utter disaster and nearly killed one of them. Goldberg knocked himself silly and split his melon open while he clashed with the ring post, and then screwed up the timing on several moves, dropping the dead man straight on his head in a spot that could have ended up really, really badly. One of the worst main events ever, this performance should have convinced WWE higher-ups to cancel or at least alter the Goldberg comeback experiment. His subsequent matches with Dolph Ziggler, The Fiend, and Braun Strowman have come nowhere close to capturing what he and Lesnar had just a few short years ago. Number 3, Shawn Michaels. Few wrestlers get to have their last match.
This one hurts me. This one hurts my soul. Why did you come that? Why? The fucking Saudi money must have been hitting. They're like, hold on, the bank account could definitely use a little bit more. Hold on, wait a minute. They giving how many M's does he even? Bitch, I'm about to go out there in my drawers if I have to. I will sweet chin anybody you meet me to at the crowd.
match be a classic in the main event of WrestleMania against one of the best of all time. Shawn Michaels is lucky that his swan song came against The Undertaker in the epic Streak vs. Career main event of WrestleMania 26. And for the next 8 years, Shawn kept his promise to stay out of the ring, only getting involved as a panelist or as a special guest referee. By the time Crown Jewel 2018 in Saudi Arabia came around, the business had changed considerably, and the circumstances meant that HBK could get a healthy sum added to his retirement fund for a tag match with Triple H, Taker, and Kane. Another case of a presentation that would have been a dream match many years ago. This was like watching four old mates messing about and playing their greatest hits for a huge payday and little risk. Most of the intrigue surrounding the match was around what type of performance that Michaels, one of the best in-ring performers ever, was going to be able to give. Flattering to deceive, the Hall of Famer looked good only in comparison next to his three considerably more knackered dance partners. Everyone in the match was slower and balder, but still felt like they were capable of having a near 30-minute match. It may have been special for them, but for viewers it was a stark contrast to Shawn's first comeback match with Triple H at SummerSlam 2002. Michaels has since come out and admitted that a combination of money and the fact that it was a tag match on an international show were the reasons he decided to finally break his vow. Number 2, Ric Flair. Like the Sexy Boy, the Nature Boy was also given a sterling send-off from the WWE. After losing to Michaels in a poignant match at WrestleMania 24, the company...
Yo, that sweet chin clutched the tip of his lip. That shit look insane. Yo, that shit touched the tip of that lip. That shit right there, mung right in your fucking mouth, on the tip of that lip. Yeah. That's the fastest bump you ever got on your lips. Yeah, he definitely got a bump after that.
After losing to Michaels in a poignant match at WrestleMania 24, the company paid tribute to Flair, another contender for greatest of all time, the next night on Raw, bringing out his friends and former rivals to say thank you and wish him well in retirement. It was a genuinely emotional scene and something that most wrestlers would wish to receive when they've hung up their boots. After leaving the ring, Flair continued to work for WWE as an ambassador. After crunching the numbers, however, Slick Rick decided that if he was going to make those alimony payments, that he was going to need to earn more and left the company, convinced that he could rake it in as a legend on the autograph convention circuit. Now freed from the shackles of his WWE deal, it wasn't long before TNA came a-calling and offered Flair a princely sum to join the company as an on-screen figure. Flair, who didn't necessarily want to stop wrestling in the first place but was basically forced to by WWE, would also be required to dust off his robe and get back in the ring once more. Watching Flair in backstage segments or delivering a promo at that time could be gold, but watching him in the ring was quite the opposite. The heart and effort were there, but by that point Flair was in his mid-60s and just couldn't go anymore. Fans reacted to the signature moves and mannerisms, but even his biggest fan would be forced to admit that seeing the former 16-time world champion rolling around in thumbtacks in front of a small audience at Universal Studios...
Chill, the disrespect. The disrespect, Mo. That. The woo-off could have happened without him wrestling, though, I feel like. Y'all could have just had him woo-off on the mic. Yeah, we had to see the old man get back in the ring. Pop is in the ring rolling around in thumbtacks. Come on, man.
Was a pretty sorry sight indeed. In later years, when he had left the company, Flair has acknowledged that it was a mistake to go to TNA and wrestle, given the incredible retirement he had received. The lure of hundreds of thousands of dollars and a light schedule, not to mention the spotlight, was enough to bring Flair back for his regrettable run in Dixieland. Number 1, The Ultimate Warrior. Love him or hate him, and there are plenty who do both, the Ultimate Warrior was a shrewd businessman who saw wrestling as just that, a business. No mark for the sport, Jim Hellwig cared about how and when and how much he was going to be paid, and for doing what. Typically, that meant a giant check for lots and lots of money for wrestling about 3 minutes. Warrior got over huge during the cartoon era, where bright colors and big muscles were on vogue, and technical ability was not a sought-after attribute. Warrior had a stormy relationship with WWE, in particular Vince McMahon, and left the company several times over money or creative differences. Warrior's brief run in 1996 in particular was a disaster and left a sour taste in the mouth of many fans. WCW wished that Warrior's run in their company was half as good as that failure, because when he did show up in the Turner-owned organization in 1998, it was a complete and utter flop. Warrior cost WCW at least $1 million for 3 matches and a handful of rambling, inane promos and nonsensical
$1 million for 3 matches, bro. I'm about to really go back in time to be out there wrestling. Y'all about to see my little stupid pale ass getting put through tables and shit. It's time. I'm about to go crazy. I'm going back there and I'm dropping CM Punk pipe bombs as my promos. I'm like, oh my god, we've never seen someone cut promos like this. Yeah. I'm fucking up the whole timeline now and I need some of that.
backstage segments. $1 million for his abysmal match with Hollywood Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 98, generally considered one of the worst ever, and which Warrior lost, and little else. In the years that followed, Warrior claimed that he was only brought in so that the Hulkster could get his WrestleMania 6 win back. Whatever the reasoning behind it, Warrior's comeback was a dud and helped further alienate WCW's rapidly waning fan base. Factoring in the costs associated, Warrior's lack of interest in wrestling, and the fact that WCW already had Hogan, Savage, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Goldberg, and many more bona fide stars on their books, it's hard to find much justification for this being anything other than a wrestling comeback that should never have happened.
Shaking my head. Said the first Chrome 1 WCW weren't bad, but after that, it was just, yeah. Crate goes back in time and becomes a third. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna be standing there like, yeah, I'm gonna be looking hell out of place. Arms crossed and shit. I'm cool as hell. Yeah, I'm cool, y'all. Look at me, y'all. The finger poke of doom. Wait, no. I can't be in the company at that time. I want to be with Mankind and them. I want to be with the goons. I would love to be an Undertaker druid. That'd be a cool spot to be at, huh? Just so they could have trivia like, oh, did you know Cratewraith was actually in attendance? So what's going on, guys? If you made it all the way to the end of the video hanging out with us, hey, guess what? You're not a weenie. Wow, look at that. If you'd like to support the original creator of the content, go ahead and click that top link. Come on, go ahead. Click the top link. Don't be scared. Show them some love. If you want to react to content with us live on Twitch, you know where to find me. Come on, I'm here with open arms. Come here. Come here. Join the family. We must feast. We must feast. And if I had some cool links in that description, you can find bonus content for free on the Patreon. If you go there, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. You know you want to do it. Don't be weird about it. Go ahead and do it. The more you think about it, the less content you're going to have. That's crazy when you put it like that, right? So fucking click it. I'll see you in the next video if we make it there.